Egg donation is this incredible, profound act. But let's be real, one of the biggest questions people have is about the money. How much do egg donors actually get paid? Well, the answer is often way higher and a lot more complex than you might think. So let's break down the real figures. So, how much are we really talking about here for a single donation? It's not just one simple flat fee. It's actually a pretty wide range, and that range depends on a whole bunch of factors that we're about to get into. Okay, so if you're a first-time donor, this is pretty much your starting block. The baseline compensation usually lands right around $8,000, maybe up to 10. Think of it as the standard entry point for someone who's brand new to the process. But, and this is a big but, once you have a successful cycle under your belt, that number can really jump. We're talking experienced donors, folks with a proven track record who can often earn between $15,000 and $20,000 for a single cycle. And sometimes even more than that. Wow, okay, so that's a huge gap, right? Between 8 and 20 grand. So you gotta wonder, what exactly causes that swing? What makes one donor's compensation so different from another's? Well, it all boils down to a few key variables. So let's get into it. What actually drives the pay? We're going to unpack the 4 key factors that agencies and intended parents are looking at when they figure out compensation. Okay, so here they are, the big 4. Your educational background, race and ethnicity, certain physical traits, and, of course, any previous donation experience. Let's take a closer look at each one. First up, and this might surprise you, is your educational background. Yup, academic achievement plays a pretty big role. Donors who have advanced degrees, especially from places like Ivy League schools or other top universities, are in really high demand and can definitely command higher pay. Second, race and ethnicity. And look, this is purely a matter of supply and demand. For example, in the United States, there's a huge demand for Asian egg donors, especially Chinese donors, but the pool of candidates is relatively small. That imbalance can drive their compensation way, way above the average. Third, yep, physical appearance can play a role. Now, basics like height and having a healthy BMI are always considered, but sometimes unique achievements can make a profile stand out. For instance, if you are a national-level athlete, that's something that can make a profile extra appealing. And last but not least, experience. But listen, this is a really crucial point. It's not just about having donated before. It's about proven success. Agencies are looking at the number of eggs that were retrieved, and even more importantly, the quality of the embryos that came from them. A solid track record here is incredibly valuable. Okay, we've talked about the standard range, but what about the big leagues? Let's dive into the fascinating and pretty rare world of the 6-figure donor and see how someone can earn that kind of exceptional compensation. So donors who have this unique combination of really sought-after traits can see their pay jump into a totally different tier. We're talking $30,000 to $100,000, or even more. But I gotta be super clear here. This is not the norm. These are absolutely the exceptions. This case study is just wow. It really brings it to life. We're looking at the pay history of a single donor, a Chinese woman who's also an Ivy League grad. Her pay started at an already sky-high $40,000. But with each successful cycle, it just kept growing, eventually hitting an absolutely staggering $200,000 for her 5th donation. So what was her secret sauce? Why was her compensation just so off the charts? Well, it was basically the perfect storm of all 4 factors we just talked about. She had an exceptionally rare profile, she met desirable physical criteria, she had a proven track record of creating high-quality embryos, and her genetic screenings came back absolutely perfect. But hold on, it's not just about the check you get at the end. Let's talk about the perks beyond the payment, because the process itself comes with some pretty significant benefits that have a ton of value on their own. First, you get these incredibly comprehensive health screenings, medical, fertility, genetic tests, all for free. I mean, that alone can give you amazing insights into your own health. Second, if you have to travel, it's typically all expenses paid. And third, a lot of agencies provide access to counseling because they recognize the emotional journey involved. So, after all that, we land on the big question, right? Is it worth it? When you really look at the whole picture, it comes down to a balance, a serious commitment versus a pretty significant reward. On one side of the scale, you have the commitment, and that means time, physical effort, and the emotional weight of the whole decision. On the other side, you have the reward, the financial payment, those amazing free health screenings, and of course, the profound feeling of helping create a family. And let's not downplay that commitment. We're talking about weeks of medical appointments, giving yourself hormone injections, and dealing with potential side effects like bloating or discomfort. And emotionally, it means you have to be truly 100% at peace with your genetics, helping to create a child for another family. And one last really important thing to know, this isn't something you can do forever. To protect the long-term health and safety of donors, the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, that's the ASRM, recommends a lifetime maximum of 6 donation cycles. That's it. So when you put it all together, the financial side, the very real personal commitment, and the absolutely life-altering outcome for a family, it leaves you with one final, really complex question. For a gift this personal, how do you even begin to calculate what it's truly worth?